Well, hello, my beautiful Taurians. How are you? Thank you so much for having so much patience with me. I was really ill. Just got my voice back. I'm still kind of coughing, so if I cough during this video, I apologize. So, we have a lot of big things going on. We've got this lunar eclipse that's just happened. You will be feeling the effects of that for about 5, maybe 6 months, really intensely for about 4 months. We've had Mercury go retrograde. We've got Jupiter going direct. We've got a lot of things happening. Then we have the solar eclipse in August. So as you can tell, I don't have the tarot up because I've been doing a longer spread this month for you guys. Um, so I'll be doing that on a separate video because this one can get long. I'm going to go from now until the end of August in preparation for September, um, where I'm going to be doing all the videos or most of the videos on my website for download. I'll have, a shorter video here on YouTube, and then you can download the longer video on my website where it's more detailed like these are. So welcome everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cindy. I am the modern day spiritual advisor. I use multiple modalities including astrology, tarot, mediumship, hypnotherapy, all kinds of stuff to help you on your path. So, my gorgeous ones, we have for July, Venus is in your fifth house. This is your fifth house of love affairs, your fifth house of creativity. It may not have seemed that way because you've had Uranus in your first house. So you've got a lot of shifting going on. You've had a lot of things that have come up that maybe you didn't see coming up. And it's kind of you being a fixed, grounded sign. You'll go with the flow, but you're going to really pace yourself when things change, right? Well, Uranus is that planet of shock and awe. So it either you shift when you see these things that are on your path, or it comes and shifts things for you, okay? So let's talk about Mercury going retrograde in your fourth house. Your fourth house is lit up. So this is where you're going to have your solar eclipse. Right now, Mercury has gone retrograde. So remember all of the retrogrades. We've got a lot of planets in retrograde. That's kind of why you're probably feeling a little lethargic. We have Mercury. We have Chiron. We have Neptune. We have Mars. We have Pluto. And we have Saturn. And those are all retrograde. So retrogrades are about amending, revising, editing, doing all of that. Now, Jupiter's gone direct, but Mercury's gone retrograde. So it's still going to kind of feel a little bit the same, maybe just in different areas of your life. So this fourth house, what's the fourth house about? Well, the fourth house is about your happiness, your fulfillment, what makes you feel secure and comfortable. It's where you ultimately learn that home is where the heart is. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter if you're across the world. You can only feel peace and comfort and security within yourself. This is what you grow and learn in this house, right? Well, you've got the North Node in there, right? And so the North Node is wanting to take you on your path. The North Node is trying to show you that path. And then the Sun coming in here is going to clear up some things that may have not seemed to be clear for you with this North Node, okay? So you see how this is conjunct? That means when the Sun comes anywhere, it wants to bring clarity. It wants to align everything. I am so sorry, I'm about to cough, sorry. It wants to bring clarity. I apologize for that. It wants to align you, and it wants to give you some direction as to where you're going, right? And so with Mercury being in here, and it going retrograde, you're going to be amending, fixing. You maybe get some clarity on some things, and then you're going to rework them, edit them, fix them, understand them better, right? And this is all to bring comfort to you, right? This is all. So whenever you could be dealing with, because when a planet transits this house, you could deal with your security and even your residency. Okay, so some of you might be in the middle of like trying to figure out if you're going to move, or maybe something comes up that you have to move. Remember, with Uranus over here in your first house, that's you. That's your identity. That's what you came here to do. That's physically, right? And so It's only at 2 degrees. You got 7 years to go, right? And so there could be some shifting going on. There could be some big changes going on with you. All right? So that's what's going on with Mercury retrograde. It'll be in here until August 19th. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about this Jupiter going direct. So Jupiter had been retrograding, right? Or Jupiter had been retrograde. And that is in, if this is your 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, right? Right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, when Jupiter goes into any house, it wants to expand. It's the guru. It wants to help you understand. It's trying to give you more, right? But it wants you to get some. So you have to grow into this. You have to, like, there will be some things that you're needing to understand with the 7th house, which means relationships and boundaries and what you're going to allow and what you're not going to allow and how you're going to love and how you're not going to love and what you're going to say yes to and no to with relationships. And that's not just love relationships, that's all relationships. That could be a relationship with money, a relationship with property, a relationship with family, with a relationship with coworkers, relationship with romance, with partners, right? And so the way the 7th house works is you won't know what it is that you're wanting to set a boundary in or how it is that you're wanting to do this relationship until that person or that thing or that situation comes in front of you, right? And so when that happens, they're mirroring you, and there's something that you're trying to understand about this, right? So that's your 7th house. It's been in Scorpio. Scorpio is your 7th house, so it's wanting you to go deep. It is making you very focused, probably had been making you very focused on what you're going to get out of it, yeah, and how you're going to do it, these relationships with money or property or any of that, right? Maybe you were re-evaluating investments or the way that you did investments or the way that you had property, right? And so now that Jupiter's gone direct, all these things that you had amended, fixed, worked out, tried to figure out, that's now that it's gone direct, it's going to be expanding and giving you the physical stuff of what you've worked on, okay? So I wanted to talk a little bit about that for you guys. So today or tomorrow, depending on where you're at, we have this lunar eclipse. So let me talk about eclipses and what they mean. So eclipses have to do with your higher self. They have to do with your soul's journey, okay? They have to do with being divinely guided for your soul's journey, so that you can expand, so that you can grow your light, so that you can understand some things and experience some things, right? And so what can happen in eclipses is that karmic events can happen, right? Well, these particular eclipses are really, really prominent right now because, or really, yeah, really prominent and really important because they have to do with the south node and the north node. So both the solar and the lunar eclipse are going to have the lunar eclipse is going to have the south node, and the solar eclipse is going to have the north node. That's why there's going to be these. That's why it's really prominent, because it has to do with your life path. It has to do with these karmic events, right? Now, what's the lunar eclipse about? The lunar eclipse is about teaching you to detach, teaching you not to be so attached, teaching you to let go of what no longer serves you, right? And so the lunar eclipse will tend to take something from you, and this is karmically, this is something you're wanting, this is something to help grow you, right? Well, because it has the south node, we could be talking about past life contracts, past life karma, old karma that you've brought into this life, right? So let me explain this. Even if you don't believe in past lives, you could have done this when you were young, right? So in your past lives, if you did something over and over and over and over, like you had many, many lives trying to figure this out, and then you finally mastered it, right? That's your south node. So you finally mastered it, and then you come into this life. It's such a habit for you to do this contract that you may be doing this contract unnecessarily, right? And just because it's a habit, just because this particular situation showed up, and you have this inclination to stay or this inclination not to let go. And this is part of your mastery of the South Node. That makes sense? So, when this lunar eclipse happens, this is energy. An eclipse is there to, it takes you to 0 point energy and it eclipses. That's what an eclipse is. It can, in this case, help you let go of this old karma, help you release old karma, help you complete things, right? And so in this lunar eclipse, you could be letting go of something or someone. You could end old karma. You're completing something. But because we have Mars here, because we have Mars here conjunct to this lunar eclipse and your South Node, it could come about through crisis or through anger or some chaos, right? But ultimately, it's there to transform you. It's there to help you release this. Like, some of you could have these contracts where you're like, I'm done. I'm done. I don't need to do this anymore. I don't know why I'm doing this. I've learned all I can. This just seems to be a repeated thing, and I'm just going to let go of it. I'm done, right? So that could be going on for the next 5 months. Like, are some of you going to release something now? Yeah, some of you are. It depends on your chart. That's why I do these personal charts with you. But some of you, it'll be over, it'll be like a gradual over the next 5 months, over the next 4 months. You could be releasing and then releasing and then releasing and then releasing, right? So it's not going to feel good because you have Mars in there, but it could feel good after because you have this Uranus here in your first house. Now, Uranus likes to shock and awe, and it will shift you, or it will shift the situation so that it thrusts you into where you're supposed to be, and it may not feel good, but ultimately after it will liberate you, right? It'll help you breathe better. It's like one of those things where you're like, I cannot believe I lost my job. But then when you get the better job with less hours and more pay, you're like, thank God that happened, because if it hadn't, I wouldn't have left that job. I wouldn't have left that relationship. I wouldn't have left that. Like, thank God that happened, right? That's kind of what Uranus does, okay? So that's happening now. It'll be happening for the next 5 months, 6 months, some of you. The solar eclipse is going to be later, and it's going to be bringing you something else, okay? So let's talk about August, because that's very important, from the 1st through the 15th. So from the 1st through the 15th, if you look here, all the way through the 15th, you're going to have, from the 1st through the 15th, you're going to have Mars. See this Mars squaring Uranus, okay? So Mars is squaring Uranus and Saturn is squaring Chiron. Now I have a video about Chiron and how to work through it. Anything I talk about, it'll either be in the link in the description box down below, at the end of this video where you can click on it, or in the icon, okay? Up in the top right-hand corner. Okay, so this Mars square Uranus, right? Mars, when they square, this is sort of a push and pull, push and pull. They're both trying to get you to the same place. They're just both trying to lead. So it's going to feel like this push-pull, push-pull. And this is going on in your first house. And this is your 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, right? So this is when Mars goes into, it's going to be in Aquarius for a little bit, like on the 1st. See how it'll be in Aquarius. And then by the 15th, it'll have moved into Capricorn. So it's this push-pull in Aquarius, and then it's this push-pull in Capricorn, right? So 9th, 10th house. The 9th house is about your belief system. The 9th house is about the quest for higher knowledge. The 9th house could be about legal issues, right? But the 10th house is about your career, your life purpose, what's going on. And because it's retrograde, and remember, you've had the lunar eclipse, or you're having the lunar eclipse, the energy of that, letting go, understanding, reworking, finishing these contracts, completing something. This is not something that's going to shock you, because now it may shock you the way it ends because of Uranus, but this is not something that's going to come out of left field from nowhere. This is something that you've been focused on in your 10th house, in your career. So maybe it's your career. Maybe you're trying to decide where to go. Maybe you're trying to decide, should I change? Whatever this is, you've been having to rework it, right? So, but because this energy is a square, it's going to be this push-pull. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Well, now that this happened, what should I do, right? And it has to do with you changing you. And then we have this square of Saturn in your 9th house and Chiron in your 12th house. So this really is about you completing some things, because the 12th house is about completions. It's about endings. It is about karma. It's about your past, present, and future life, right? And so Chiron, you could be ending something with Chiron there. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron helps you ultimately understand that, so Chiron is that when it comes into whatever area it is, it's like, no matter what I do, no matter how much I try, it just won't go through, or I just can't catch a break, or this always happens, right? And then the way that you work through Chiron is that you learn to give from your mistakes. So you see this, you'll come upon people or situations where you can see that they're doing the same thing you're doing. You're like, learn from my mistakes. And when you learn to give in that way, then ultimately Chiron relieves you, right? Well, because you're going to have Chiron and this square and this square from the 1st through the 15th, because you're going to have these squares, it's going to be a push-pull. You're going to be push and pulling. You're going to be having to make decisions, but you don't want to. Things are going to shift and maybe not. But with Chiron being in your 11th house, when you ask those questions, anytime 12th house, anytime that your 12th house is activated, you can have vivid dreams. Things can come about for you. You can get answers in your dreams. So, or through prayer, through meditation, but really through dreams, because that's when your ego is in balance, and that's when they can get through. So if you're trying to decide about something and you can't make a decision, if you're really afraid, if you're trying to see if this is really on my path, am I making the wrong decision or am I making the right one? This is the time that you can ask these questions as you're going to sleep and then receive some answers. It may not come on the first night that you ask, so ask again and ask again and ask again until you receive, right? So just be aware that from the 1st to the 15th, we still have Mars retrograde. Mars is a very powerful planet. Like, it wants to go, 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 go. You have Uranus in your 1st house. You have Chiron you're dealing with. And you have the lunar eclipse, which is about letting go. So there are some things that you're going to have to let go. And you've heard what I said before, but I'll say it again if you've never seen me. In our ultimate higher self, we can have unlimited amounts of energy run through us. But in this physical state, in this world, in this resonance, there's only so much energy that can run through us. And remember, everything is energy. So your whole world, everyone around you, every situation, every little thing that you have, from your tea to your coffee to the food that you eat, all of that, everything is energy. That's all running through you. So if there are things that you haven't let go of that you really need to, if there are old traumas, if there are old ways of doing things, if you haven't let go of those things, you're carrying that. And so since you only have so much room in your energetic field, you're not able to receive the abundance that you're wanting to receive for your path if you're still holding on to this stuff. This is what this lunar eclipse is about. And it could come from past lives. It really could. Because maybe you brought it with you because it was a habit. And so now is that time. Now is that time to release within the next 5 months. Really, really release. Really be brave. Really be courageous. And trust yourself. Trust yourself. Okay? So, on the 7th, Venus is moving into into Libra, and this is going to be in your 6th house. So what's the 6th house about? So the 6th house is about your daily activities, your health and well-being, right? The 6th house is also about the things that you see in your everyday life that you can make changes to, right? So where the 12th house is about the subconscious, your past lives, things shifting and coming through, and then you having to deal with it. The 6th house is where you actually see these things and make choices about it, like consciously, okay? So with Venus coming in there, Venus is the planet of love, luck, and money. So Venus wants to bring you love, luck, and money in this house. So any debts can be relieved. Any health can be resolved. Maybe you're putting yourself on a nutrition program. This also has to do with divorce and litigation as well. So maybe some things will be resolved then. When Venus goes into this house, that's what it wants to bring you. It wants to bring you some balance, because it's going to do it in a Libran way. So Venus is going to do it in a very Libran way, which is very balanced, right? And so if things hadn't been going your way, if you've been trying at stuff and it hadn't been working, it's going to try to balance it out with love, luck, and money. It could be all three. It could be one of the three. It could be two of the three. It just kind of depends on your chart. Okay? So just be aware that that's happening. Then we have the solar eclipse on the 11th. So on the 11th, we have this solar eclipse. And this is going to be in your 4th house. So your 4th house, again, is about, your 4th house is lit up. So it is about your security, your comfort, your fulfillment, your happiness, and understanding that only you can make yourself happy. Only you can make yourself fulfilled. Only you can make yourself feel comfortable and secure. Only you, right? Now, the people that come around you and mirror that, they're doing it as a mirror. They're reflecting what you're giving off, right? And so if you're feeling insecure, you're going to have people around you insecure. If you're feeling secure, that's what you're going to attract. Like attracts like. And so that's kind of what's going on. But with the solar eclipse is where the lunar eclipse wants to take from you, to help you understand about detachment, to help you understand about letting go what no longer serves you. The solar eclipse wants to give. The solar eclipse wants to give you something to fulfill you and to help you grow and wants to give you experiences. It wants to give you the desires of your heart, like certain desires that you wanted to experience while you came here on this earth in this lifetime, right? And so the solar eclipse, even though the lunar eclipse is really, really important, because remember what I said about your energetic field, whatever you don't release, you're holding on to. So when this solar eclipse happens, if you haven't released, there's not enough room to bring in the experiences on your life path, right? So you have to release to give some room in your energetic field, right? Now, again, because the solar eclipse has to do with your north node, right? Your north node, where your south node is your old karma, the old past lives, the things you've mastered. The north node is about experiences, things you wanting to master, things you're trying to experience in a different way and understand. It's not that you hadn't experienced them before, maybe in other lives, but you're doing it in a different way, okay? So it's going to give you something. It's going to transform you. It's going to give you new beginnings. It's going to give you some passion. It's going to give you some, like, this is the gift that you're like, yes, this is what I wanted. This helps me understand that the universe does have my back, that I do know what I'm doing, that things can go my way. Like, that's the solar eclipse. But again, for some people, they get so frustrated that are like, I've tried and I've tried and I've tried and I've tried and nothing's coming through. Are you releasing? That's my question. Have you released? Have you let go? And sometimes you're not even conscious of it. This is like your subconscious. This is your past life. This is like, you don't even realize that you haven't dealt with this trauma. You don't even realize that you've been holding on to this. And so now is the time, especially with Chiron being in your 12th house. Now's the time to ask the questions. Please bring that forth. I mean, you can ask before you go to bed. Please bring forth what I'm not getting so that I can let go, so that I can have my abundance, so that I can have these things coming in, right? And so for the lunar eclipse, you're going to feel anywhere between 5 and 6 months, from now to 5 and 6 months. The solar eclipse, you can feel from 6 months up to a year. It depends on your chart, okay? So and ultimately, this is so that you understand to feel comfort, to feel secure, to feel happy, to feel fulfilled. That's what it does. That's what's going on in this 4th house, right? And so it plays itself out in different ways for different people. Like, have you been going through maybe a change of residency or trying to figure it out? Have you been going through a relationship? Have you been going through like changing properties, or have you been like, it kind of depends on where you're at, right? So that's for the 11th. On the 13th, Mars enters Capricorn. We talked about that before. So Mars is going to behave in a very different way in Capricorn than it was in Aquarius. In Capricorn, it's going to be directed, methodical, understanding. Like in Aquarius, it's got a different energy that it does. In Capricorn, think about it's going to feel a little bit more comfortable to you because it's an Earth. It's got to behave the way an Earth sign behaves, right? So it's got to play by its rules. It's got to play by Cappy's rules, which is, I'm going to do it this way. I'm pinpointing my energy. I'm going to get it directed. This is exactly what I'm going to do. Okay? And so, when it moves into Capricorn, again, it's going to be squaring Uranus. So something's going to be changing here, but it isn't something that's coming from left field. It's something that's been on the forefront for you. Okay? And again, this is your, it's moving from your 10th house to your 9th house. And this is so that you understand your belief system, your quest for higher knowledge. It could be that you meet a teacher, a mentor, a guru. Maybe you have a breakthrough about understanding what you're supposed to do, right? So that could be happening on the 13th. On the 19th, and remember, you've had Mercury over here. So on the 19th, Mercury goes direct. And so again, Mercury's going direct in your 4th house. So all of this stuff, like even whatever this north node brings you, you could have been reworking, understanding, editing, revising. Remember, Mercury is the messenger. It wants to bring you understanding, messages. It wants to help you process these things, okay? And so whatever you've been processing, understanding, reworking, editing, when Mercury goes direct, it will now bring forth that. So it will, whatever you've been working on, once Mercury goes direct, it's time to take action in those things, okay? And again, this is to fulfill your security, your happiness, your comfort, okay? So on the 24th and 25th, one or the other. It just kind of depends on where you live in the world. So on the 24th or 25th, the sun moves into Virgo. So the sun, again, brings clarity, brings alignment, wants to bring you gifts, right? And it's going to be in your 5th house of creativity. Now, it's interesting that this is going to give you some direction about your 10th house, your belief system, what you've been working on, and then the sun's going to move into your 5th house of creativity. Maybe all of a sudden you get these epiphanies and understand, right? But it's going to be in a very Virgo way, which means Virgo and Capricorn and you. It means you'll feel it more. It means you'll understand it better. And it's in your 5th house of creativity and love affairs. So for some of you, it may be time. Maybe you meet this person. Maybe you meet a new friend. Maybe you meet a new partner. If you're ready, maybe you meet a life partner. But either way, you'll have that for the next 30 days. Then on the 26th, we have our full moon in Pisces. So this is in your 11th house. So your 11th house is about groups and networking. It is supporting your 10th house. So maybe you got some clarity about your purpose, your life purpose, your job. Maybe you got a new position. Maybe you got a higher paid job. Maybe you took your company to the next level. Whatever this was, now that this full moon goes into your 11th house, maybe you're still trying to figure out what to let go of, right? Because full moons are about releasing what no longer serves you. So remember what I said with this South Node and lunar eclipse. It could be layers and layers of you letting go, understanding and letting go, understanding and letting go. So whatever you haven't let go of, needing to have to do with your 10th house, your work, your life purpose, your reputation, all of that, you could be working on that in a very Piscean way, right? Because it's the full moon being in Pisces has to do with like other lives, the other worlds. And your 11th house has to do with groups and networking, right? But it's supporting your 10th house. So if you've cleared in your 10th house, when this lunar eclipse comes, if you've done a lot of clearing, with the moon and Neptune and Pisces being here, this could be about manifestation, destiny, your fate coming through. If you've cleared here, then this could turn in the direction of something coming through, gifts coming through, a lover coming through, more money coming through, new position coming through, new company coming through. Like, it could be bringing you something if you've let go here already. Does that make sense? If you haven't, then this is going to be about you letting go, really understanding, really come to terms. Neptune, Pisces, and the moon are all manifestation planets. Like, together they can manifest, but they can also help you see the connection to your higher self or understand the bigger picture, right? So that'll be happening for you on the 26th. Now, last but not least, on the 28th, Mars goes direct. So all this planning, all this reworking, all this anger, frustration, chaos, these things that have come, or for some of you have come, others of you kind of slid by, right? All of that reworking, all that editing, all that like releasing, when Mercury goes direct, and as it gets closer to Pluto, it's going to be bringing you something in your 9th house. It could be bringing you a new mentor. It could be bringing you, finally you're the teacher. It could be bringing you, a lot of things, because the 9th house has to do with your belief system. The 9th house has to do with your knowledge, quest for higher knowledge. So it could help you find the answers. Like, you're really getting clear about how you're supposed to do this, what you want to do, what you don't want to do, how things come together, right? If you're studying astrology, this could be the time where you are like really moving that out into the world. Like, you're really getting it and you're now teaching or starting to teach, because it has to do with astrology and the spiritual aspect of it, okay? Now, I will say this, because it has to do with residency as well. Some of you are moving. Some of you are changing locations. But that's not everybody. I just feel like because there's like 3 houses where residency is involved, you could be either moving to a bigger house or moving to a different house, or maybe finally getting your first house, right? So congratulations to those of you that are having that happen. All right, my gorgeous ones. Thank you so very much again. I did want to mention that I teamed up with Instant Go. I will have the link in the description box below. You can find me at YourPath39. If you just have one question, now you can text me. I can text you back. If you use the promo code INDIGO, you'll get $5 off your first order. All right, my gorgeous ones, good luck. I love you, love you, love you. Bye.